It says Sunday Roundup. What's going on with you, YouTube? Or is it just not showing on my side? Oh, there it is. It's just not showing on my side. That's cool. That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's all good. Hey, don't forget, have you invested in yourself today? That's a standard question. We're going to continue to ask that question because it actually is a big deal. And the reason why, you need to know what's going on, right? Yeah, YouTube is weird. YouTube is definitely weirding out on me today. Okay, that's not a problem. So, over the past week, we've had some really tragic things. There is currently a bill right now that's headed over to the Senate, if it's not already there, that is for the funding of ICE. Why do I mention this political topic? It's not on the political side. It is on your bag side. It's definitely for investment. The reason why is because the government could shut down this week. The government can shut down this week, right? So that's a massive problem. I believe the date is the 30th. So that's a massive problem. One of the things that could edge us toward that is that they might want to wrap the ICE funding into the overall funding package for the government. And there are a lot of people saying, nope, not doing it, not voting for that. And that could be the problem. Right now, it would not bode well for anybody to vote for funding ICE, given the events of the past couple of weeks. So that's going to be a massive problem. Mr. Biggs, what's going on? Why is that a big deal? Well, the last time we had a government shutdown, it was a no bueno situation. And when I say no bueno, I mean ugly as hell. I released an article about that over the weekend, right? And the reason why it's a massive problem. Let's see. Last government shutdown, economic impacts. We had GDP loss. We had consumer sentiment just drop off a cliff. We had an impact to the federal workforce that, again, no bueno at all. And this was in the midst of firing a bunch of people and then having to bring them back. Yeah, prices of what are tanking? Prices of what are tanking is my question. Because food prices are not good. Energy prices are not good. We're looking at a lot of impacts that are no bueno right now. But anyway, a government shutdown in the United States, the last time was 43 days. That could be a massive problem. Another government shutdown could hurt businesses. It would absolutely hurt jobs. I'm pretty sure it would cause a recession. It's a massive problem. A massive, massive problem. So when I look at it, I'm looking at it as, yeah, why would you be looking to do something like that at a time where we already have issues? Just normal issues we have to deal with, right? I mean, we have layoffs that are coming. I mean, even rumor has it, Amazon wants to lay off 30,000 people from basically white-collar jobs. 30,000 people, right? And then, what gets me is, everybody was reacting so well, to the inflation news that we got. And there's one thing that most people forgot. There were no numbers from BLS, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, for October and November. And I'm thinking the numbers for December are going to be shocking. I think that's what's going to make people just go, what? And then you have the Fed meeting this week, and I don't think anything's going to change. They're going to hold fast because there are so many things that are in the works that why would you change anything? You don't have enough data to actually warrant a change. And I think so many people are so mistaken about how the Fed interest rate works. They think that it ties directly into things like mortgage rates and things like that. It does not. It does not. Stanley into his house. Thank you for letting us all know that you invest in yourself. Greatly important. Greatly important. So I'm looking at all this information. I'm just sitting here and I'm just going, yeah, that's going to be a major problem. So the news of last week, save the incident. That's try not to talk about that. But the news of last week does not compare to the news of this week. The news of last week does not, in my humble opinion, the news of last week does not compare. And some people are going to sit there and go, how could you think that? How could you say that? And blah, blah, blah. Okay. Let's talk about the news from last week. Let's see. And then we'll get to, bank bailouts and stuff like that. Trade policies from last week, trade policies and tariffs, major impact. Oh, if Canada strikes a deal with China, they did already. And if they do that, we're going to do 100% tariffs on them. We need Canada more than they need us. There are several states in the United States that would go without energy because they get their energy from Canada, because it's closer to Canada than it is here. So that'd be stupid. That would be like another level of stupid. And something else that I've been paying attention to for a minute is the new world order that's coming. And I don't mean United States and China and Russia. I mean the countries that are just below the superpowers. Just below the superpowers. They're sitting there and they're going, oh, we can't depend on these numbnuts. None of them. So what are we going to do? We're going to have to form our own bonds. And I think it's that next tier down that you're going to see like, wow. They're going to start coming together. They're making deals with each other already. I think you're going to see more of that. I think you're going to see more solidified actions with all of them. And I think that's a massively big deal. Right? And so you have all of that, right? Last week we had, again, trade policies and tariffs, regulatory and compliance developments, financial market volatility, technological innovations and blockchain and AI, corporate restructuring and workforce changes, crypto and digital assets trends, and geopolitical and economic impacts. Remember that list of risks that I asked you guys to create for yourselves? And that list of opportunities that I asked you guys to create for yourselves? Yeah, that comes into play, right? But the massive risk that we're looking at right now, even if you looked at the Clarity Act and the fact that it's not going anywhere right now, sure, that's kind of a big deal. That would have represented guardrails for stablecoins and banking and staking and banks whining and the American Banking Association whining because they're not doing as good a job as crypto's doing with stablecoins and offering staking. So if you can't keep up with the Joneses, hamper the Joneses. Like there's a level of dumb. There's a level of dumb. But I digress. Last week's events, I don't think it'll compare to this week's events. They feed into this week's events for sure. We also have a lot of earnings reports that are coming out this week. A lot, especially from tech. And I think that, really we're going to be looking at a lot of there are going to be good numbers, for sure. There'll be good numbers. But I don't know how the market's going to react to those good numbers when the outlook is not going to be all that great. I don't think big business stops and thinks about anything. I really don't. So if I lay off all these people who can afford to buy my stuff, Oh, AI is going to do this, AI is going to do that, and society is going to have to catch up. Thanks, Jamie. Jamie Dimon, of course. Thanks, Jamie. That's a great idea. That's great. Let's put the cart before the horse and then expect the horse to go around the cart and begin pulling it again. Even JP Morgan Chase came out and said that with everything Trump is doing, especially with the credit card stuff, that there'd be a lot of people that would lose credit in a heartbeat. And I'm just like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. And nobody's sitting back and talking about the ramifications of that. How does that work in your head? It can't just be me. It can't just be me here saying, if you have people that don't have money, don't have enough food to put on the table, don't have jobs, what do you think is going to happen? I don't give a crap why you're laying people off. You missed that. Yeah, because you're busy buying food. That's why. Buying and growing food. A lot of people are turning to growing their own food because prices are just too high. I mean, down to doing simple stuff like taking scallions, cutting off the top, using what you need, dropping them in oil, in water, and letting them grow so they can continuously have scallions. Simple stuff. The kind of stuff we used to do when we were in elementary school. So we'd learn how things, grow, right? It's becoming a necessity. It's becoming a necessity. Not just because so much food is being processed and all that other good stuff, just for survival. Just for survival. The poisons that are in all the food and everything else. You grow food at your house. You're probably not spraying a whole bunch of chemicals on it, which is already better than what you're going to buy at the store. I hate tomatoes. I've never hated tomatoes. When I was a kid, I used to devour tomatoes. And then I figured out, you want to know what the big difference is between the tomatoes now and then? Then they weren't hit with a whole bunch of pesticides. They tasted great. Yeah. Fast forward to today, and food prices are still high. Max Salas, I'm still waiting for you to tell me what prices are tanking. Prices of what? Not insurance, not healthcare, not food. You've got whole industries that are hosed. Did you know the top 5 liquor companies in the world are sitting on about $22 billion in stock? Not stock, but warehouse stock. Why? People aren't drinking. And it's not just because of dry January. People are drinking less. Even I'm drinking less, and I love wine. Oh, crypto prices. You got to be specific, bruh. You got to be specific. You can't just say prices are tanking. Dude, be specific. You know better. Just go stand in the corner for that. I know that made you laugh. Don't even try it. I know that made you laugh. Let me see if they're actually tanking. 86, really? 86 is tanking? 86 isn't tanking. But 28.15 for Ethereum is tanking. If you look at where we are right now, year to date, Ethereum is down 5.10%. What? Yeah. Bitcoin is basically at zero. Z to the row. It's like, what? What's going on here? Yeah. We're screwing up. We are screwing up as a society. Economically. We put a whole bunch of nitwits in charge of the economy, and not a whole bunch of nitwits, because Powell's doing the best that he can, and his team is doing, the Fed is doing the best as they can. But we have a whole bunch of other nitwits tied, to whatever, that are not doing such a good job managing things. Giving away money that we don't have. Seriously. I'm trying to understand. How we can be giving away money to all these countries and we don't have the money to pay our bills. We still have people sleeping on the streets. We still have children without food. We still have tattered books in public schools. The list goes on and on and on. And some people would say, why are you talking about that? That's political. No, it's not. We wreck a lot of systems. I had a long conversation with my youngest son yesterday. And we were talking about, what affects the economy and just what affects society. This is a kid who doesn't flinch about anything. And he is completely disturbed by the events of last week. And he's looking forward to everything else. And he's kind of like, all of that is going to cause a problem. Forget just the societal problems. They're also going to cause, economic problems. And he's looking at all of the faults that are going on. He's 18 years old. He's 18 years old. And he's like, how do you fix all this? How do you fix all of this? I think the way we fix it is by not allowing career politicians. I think the way that we fix this. Oh my God, Macy is so cute. My neighbor's dog is built for the cold and she just loves snow. Loves snow. And she's being walked right now and her owners happen to have snowshoes. And it's so funny to see them like plodding along because my dog Stitch ain't having it. Stitch will go outside, handle his business within like 10 seconds and be back in the house, pulling you along. Just saying. Anyway, there are just so many things that we need to fix. And he's just like, how do we fix all this? We need to not allow politicians to be able to, take advantage of insider trading. There should be term limits on everyone. 5 years in, 10 years in, 10 years before you go into the government, you shouldn't have any contact with any lobbying groups. Same thing on the way out. 5-10 years. Why? Because that means that it's harder for you to get bought. We need people that are going to sit down and make real decisions for the betterment of our country. And our economy at $38.5 trillion and growing, I think we could all agree that our decisions have not been great. Have not been great. As a side note, did you know that silver is blowing up? You want to know why? You want to know why? One reason is solid state batteries. Solid state batteries. You want to know why? Oh, because silver is the number one conductor of electricity on the planet that we know of. And silver is going to blow up like that. Why? Because solid state batteries are about to come online 2027, 2028 timeframe. They're already being tested in EVs, and that's going to be huge. Huge. Because it takes less to produce more. Yep. You have a lot going on. I'm also looking at hydrogen. Somebody asked me about hydrogen in data centers. It was last week or the week before last. And I was like, yeah, that's something that people are going to look at. But I didn't have a lot of research on it because I wasn't looking at it like that. And I went and I did some research on it. And I'm like, it would not be hard to to create energy from water. And most of it be usable thereafter. Like what comes out of that process, have it be usable thereafter as something. Electric vehicles, not new. Hydrogen vehicles, not new. Steam vehicles, not new. We know this. But they were shut down by the big three automakers for so long, and now they can't. This is what I mean by corporate greed. Understanding what is enough. They literally stopped that technology from coming out. Decades ago, by the way. Decades ago. It's never what's best for the people. It's always what's best for this company and its shareholders. And some would say, well, those are people too. Well, yes, they are. But it should be people first, shareholders second. Right? Like the people that work here should be taken care of. And if they're not, that's a problem. I often use the example of Walmart not taking care of their people. Massive problem. Massive. Now I'm hearing rumors about how Walmart has been allegedly has been misrepresenting the weight and cost of the meat they sell. Charging you more for less. So if something was weighing like 3 pounds, it was really only weighing like 2 point something pounds. And charging you at the 3 pound rate. Yeah. Allegedly. When is enough enough? That shouldn't even be a question. Like, that shouldn't happen. So I have to go to the store and I have to weigh it myself now? Just saying. That's everything in this country seems built to make us spend more money. I hear Toyota's coming out with the subscription model for their cars, and we're not talking about subscriptions for, high-end luxury features. We're talking about subscription for heated seats, automatic windows, like simple stuff that is in your car, but they're going to turn off. Then what the hell did I buy if you still control it? I think not only is there going to be backlash, but I think, and other manufacturers are about to do the same thing, by the way. Let's not get it twisted. That's going to make people not buy cars. You already have a lot of people that live in, places like New York City, Austin, like they're just not buying cars. Why are they not buying cars? They're not buying cars because, well, I can catch a cab and go do my grocery shopping and catch another cab and go back home. I don't need a car. They're shooting themselves in the foot. Last week I was talking about luxury vehicles. What about a BMW as luxury anymore? What about a Mercedes-Benz as luxury anymore? BMW's largest plant on the planet, largest car manufacturing plant on the planet is here in the United States. Talk about mass production. What about luxury vehicles is luxury anymore? It's iffy if they're going to have a better touchscreen than some of the low-end models. I'm serious. Kia has a better touchscreen than some of these so-called luxury cars. For all cars 2026, and hold it, the House just passed a bill to allow the government to shut your car off remotely for all cars 2026 and newer. Yikes. For what reason? For what reason? I'm telling you, the new business is going to be hacking cars. It's my car. It's my car. So there are a lot of things that are going on that are, overstepping, right? You've got televisions that are taking snapshots of your data and sending it back to the television manufacturers. There's a big lawsuit about that, apparently. All the big TV companies like Hisense, Samsung, a few others allegedly are being taken to court right now. You have these car manufacturers that are selling you things that it's not yours. You bought. Then what am I spending all of that money for? A low price car these days is like 50 grand. Who's going to want that? Why should you buy a new car? I'm telling you, we're going to turn into Cuba. We're going to be all chasing after old school cars. Not old school, but you know what I mean. Older cars that can't be shut down by the government. I don't know. I think I might get back on a motorcycle because it's ridiculous. You're not stopping a motorcycle. You're not shutting down a motorcycle. But to get my idea, I'm just sitting here and I'm just like, we're going to have to invest in ourselves in a massive freaking fashion. And we've got to plan for the changes that are coming to us. The idea of buying a car that is not actually owned by you, everything's moving toward you're just going to subscribe for everything in your life. You're going to subscribe. You're going to lease everything in your life. Your apartment, your house, you're going to lease that. What are you going to buy? You're going to require 2 paychecks. Right now, it's 2 paychecks times 7 to afford a house. Back in the day, it was 1 paycheck times 2 to buy a house. In terms of, yearly income to be able to buy a house. That would buy you a house, get you a car, take your family, you and your family on vacations. Max, you definitely need to go in the corner today. You're just spitting out nothing but pearls. You will own nothing and will be happy. Dude. It's nuts. But I need you to stop and think about that. This is some for real stuff. This is some for real stuff. Somebody's in my driveway. You know me, need to find out. My boy came over with the snowblower. 16 inches of snow and it's still going. 16 inches of snow. Anyway, when I look at the economy and everything that's going on, the amount of volatility, the nonsensical moves that this regime is making, it's becoming dangerous. And let me say something else. It's the nonsensical moves that this regime is making and previous regimes, right? And the previous regimes that have been making bad decisions. Like bad decisions. Letting corporate America get away with a lot of stuff. Deregulating this, deregulating that. Like, what? We have the most processed food in the world. Why is that? Oh, so you could have a longer shelf life? So you can earn more profits? So you can charge more for less? Because the size has changed too. Sizeflation. Size deflation. Fake meat being put in soup. What? That whole thing about Campbell's with their executives saying, I would never buy that. I would never let my family eat that because the meat's fake. Huh? What was that, sir? Yeah, everybody forgot about that. Not so good, huh? We're starting to see people come up with very innovative ways on how to make money, how to save money, how to invest money, how to increase their value overall. That's the problem. We've got companies that are thinking too long and too hard about how to get rid of people, how to cut jobs. Okay, how are you going to cut jobs? When are we going to start talking about universal basic income? Has your senator, has your representative, have they been talking about it? We're not talking about something that's going to be, an if. These are going to be necessities. Universal basic income is going to be a necessity. Hello, A-Pause. Thank you for letting us know you're investing in yourself. Trying to stay safe. I know you're laughing. You're nice and warm where you are. I've got 16 inches of snow and it's still coming. Actually, right now, I think it's at 17 and a half. And what's coming down now is not snow. It's ice. It's ice. So yeah, this week is going to be special. Oh, remember we were going to talk about autos today. So the auto industry, a lot of people that have, remember all those people that were going bonkers buying cars during the pandemic and spending over sticker value? Well, the bill comes due, doesn't it? And so you've got a lot of banks that are sitting on loans where people are underwater by like 30%. And they're sitting on all that bad debt. And at some point, they're probably going to be looking for a bailout because they gave away those loans knowing fully well they should not have. And the government's going to sit there and go, too big to fail. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to say it. Excuse my language. Fuck them. Let them go out of business. There are a lot of smaller banks, regional banks. Fuck them. Dead serious. Too big to fail my behind. Every time we bail them out, they go and they do the same thing all over again. And that's what's looking like is going to happen again. Because, banks make, bad decisions. Who runs the banks? Human beings. Every time there's a bad thing that happens at a bank, no human beings get in trouble. The executives still get their millions of dollars in salaries and bonuses and this, that, the other, and their mother. And everybody else has to foot that bill, and they just walk away counting their money, laughing and giggling. I saw a video of somebody talking about boarding school is such a good thing, and it's not about me, it's about the better education for my child, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. And it came from somebody I actually like. They have a lot of good content. No, I'm not going to mention their name because in this case, it's really, really bad. How freaking out of touch are you to be talking about boarding school? And there are people here that can barely afford free school. And people are sitting there going, Eddie, what do you mean by that? It costs money to send your kid to public school, whether you choose to believe so or not. Taxes go into that, trips, lunch money, breakfast. People are finding it harder and harder every day to be able to handle it. 8 pause, you get to go in the corner too. That's not even a part of my conversation, and I just saw it and just laughed. You get to go to the corner over that. That was funny though. But yeah, I'm sitting back and I'm just thinking about people that can't afford normal everyday stuff or are afraid to use their value to go get non-everyday stuff. We knew this was coming. We knew bad times were coming, and the bad times are here now. This week is going to be another tumultuous week. We're going to hear a lot of rhetoric from both sides of the aisle about blah, 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 government shutdown. Yada, 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 government shutdown. Wah, 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 government shutdown. We're going to hear about the Fed, and then the Fed's going to take it on the chin because they should be lowering rates. Again, the Fed lowering rates has nothing to do with your mortgage rate directly. It has nothing to do with a lot of things directly. People think it does, but it does not. It does not. It determines how much money a bank is going to make it simple, because that's the cost of money. When they go to the Fed to borrow money, what's the rate they're going to pay? That's what that is. But we have too many people thinking, oh, they're going to lower the rates another 25 basis points. Let's suppose they did. That mortgage rate that you were looking for, that's not necessarily going to go down 25 basis points. What you think? They're in business to lower the rates so, equally for you, for your convenience? Nah, that's not the way that works. That's called freaking profit. Painful, isn't it? Painful, isn't it? And let me tell you something. Small and medium-sized businesses can't afford to take this on the chin every single time, because big business and large financial institutions decide to do some effed up stuff because they can't define what enough is. I'm looking at you, Walmart. I'm looking at Amazon. I'm looking at all of the big companies out there. It's a problem. It's not a little problem. I'm looking at all those people out there that are buying red bottom shoes. Yeah, you could have bought the same thing for $50, but you want to try to spend hundreds, if not thousands. Like, are you serious? Are you serious? I posted a note about buying, luxury stuff. Are you still buying luxury stuff in this day and age? And had the thinking emoji. And one of my friends wrote back, I don't even like luxury stuff. I haven't bought any luxury stuff like ever. No, she does instead. She goes on freaking vacations. She doesn't buy stuff. She creates memories. What is that stuff going to do for you? And right now, that stuff is not going to put food on the table. Luxury has been redefined. Luxury is no longer... Remember back in the day, having luxury meant having a Mercedes-Benz or a BMW car. Now, when you see luxury, people are looking at Rolls Royces. They're not even looking at Bentleys. You want to know why? Bentley's got an Audi engine in it, but I digress. The whole idea is that we're judging everything based on something that was like 20, 30 years ago. Back in the day, Mercedes-Benz was not as mass-produced as it is now. Same thing with BMW. So they were truly luxury. They were very high-end items that it was harder for you to get your hands on. Now, buying a Mercedes is, it's right next door to the Chevy dealership, owned by the same damn company. Know what I mean? Meanwhile, you've got people coming up with different ideas on how many times have you researched growing something on your own and you see all these videos doing growth on poles and everything, so it preserves space or conserve space and all that good stuff. And I'm like, yeah, you have people doing that. I'm seeing more and more videos about raising your own chickens and a specific kind of duck too. And I'm just like, yo, this is out of control. I said that the first time the banks got bailed out, and I got the strangest looks from my coworkers. I don't understand why. I don't understand why. It's plain as day that these banks are out to screw everybody over. They're allowed to have zero definition of enough. Enough. Like, are you serious? When is enough enough? When do you start to figure out that these companies, it's never enough? What do you mean you bought a pair of pants? You think that if they could take over your pants and have your pants walk back to the store, they would. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. The GMB3, got to practice that. Got to practice that. Let's see. Let's go over some bullets from last week. EU to hold emergency meeting over tariff stuff with the new regime. That happened. Senate Banking Committee postponed the Clarity Act. That happened. EU unveils W. That's supposed to be the social media platform to go up against X. Oh, yeah, that's right. On the 22nd, the United States buyers took over TikTok. And it's been glitchy a little bit. And they changed their privacy policy. I don't know why they have one, because you now have none of that. Yo, my man Trader. It's almost as if, thank you for that. It's almost as if I don't put up my logo just so you could tell me to put up my logo. I can't believe nobody said anything. Man, what the heck? What else happened? Hong Kong unveils smart regulations for digital tools. Hong Kong, Singapore, Middle East, South America, EU, UK, different places in the United States. Hubs. Financial hubs. And you're going to start hearing more about financial hubs outside of the United States than you do inside the United States. I'm having less and less concern about BRICS and more concern about crypto. Why? Because I don't think BRICS is going to be a big deal. I look at BRICS like CDs and DVDs. When was the last time you touched one? You might start touching them again, I'll tell you that. Why? Because you bought movies and now all of a sudden they're not yours anymore. They got taken away. So what'd you buy? Messed up, right? There are a lot of people that are just like, yeah, no, I'm gonna buy my movie and have it physically. It's mine. I'm gonna buy my games, have it physically. It's mine, because Jeff Bezos thinks that nobody should have computers anymore. Nobody should have computers anymore. You shouldn't own your gaming PC. You should be renting space in the cloud and only be able to play games in the cloud. That's what they're shooting for. Right now, you can't buy memory. Supposedly, there was a break-in at a business. They went to all the machines. They didn't steal the machines. They stole the RAM. No joke. They stole the RAM. How's that for insane? How is that for insane? That's where we're going. They don't want you to build your own stuff. They don't want you to buy your own stuff. They want you to rent everything. Stitch Johnson. He was stealing my sneakers. My dog. So yeah, I'm looking at everything this week and I'm saying to myself, yes, this week is going to be a special week. Like I said, we've got to figure out a way to fund the government. Don't know how that's going to happen. Everything with ICE is causing a problem. I didn't hit him. Such a big baby. But he has a habit. He's a ninja. He's seriously a ninja. He can steal your sneaker from off your foot and you'd never feel it. You'd never know it. And then he'll sit there on his couch in the living room and be like, are you coming? You coming to come get this? Show me some attention. Like he hasn't gotten it through his thick head that when the lights are on, I'm not going to talk to him sometimes. If he comes over here and jumps up, I'll pat him. But he hasn't done that yet. But yeah, this week is going to be insane. The events of last week, I was like, wow, what's going on? You want to know what else is going to exacerbate issues this week? The weather. The weather. You want to know how many companies are using their business continuity plans right now? New York got hit with 16 inches of snow already. Actually, right now, like I said, I think it's about 17.5 right now, or at least 17. And more expected to come. Another 7 to 9 inches. Inches. That's nuts. So there are a lot of companies that have business continuity plans and they have enacted their business continuity plans. And then when everything goes off without a hitch because everybody's working remotely because of a big snowstorm, I'm looking at you, Citibank. I'm looking at all the financial institutions that are like, you must come back to the office. Don't you find that to be funny? All these companies, you must come back to the office. Okay, great. I'm going to come back to the office and do what? And do what? Because now I'm working from home and we're still getting stuff done. Yeah, that's going to throw a monkey wrench into things. That will absolutely throw a monkey wrench into things. It's never about you coming back to the office for camaraderie and innovation and collaboration and blah, 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 blah. No, it was, we know you moved. We know you moved away from the office during the pandemic, and we want you to come back to the office because we know that you won't. We need that percentage of people that aren't going to come back to the office because we're looking to cut numbers. That's what's going on. Oh, you shocked about the RAM thieves? Oh yeah, no, that's no joke. I don't need to steal your whole computer. And trust me, when they bust open those computers to steal the RAM, they are looking to see what video card you have. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. That's what they're looking at. Yeah, you're not needed in the office because the office isn't needed. It's true. That's the best way to say it. That's the best way to say it too. Yeah, figured but BTC hash rate would be down during the storm. Switched to solo mining for a few of my house and garage heaters that are monitors. Trader Joe, you get to go in the corner too because that was funny. Yeah, I'm not running any mining rigs and I have solar. Right now, solar wouldn't do jack. I'm not collecting any kind of power today. Nothing. Nothing, 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 nothing. My roof is covered, completely covered. There ain't nothing going on but the rent. Just saying. So I'm just sitting here and I'm looking at everything and I'm kind of like, what from last week outshines the Fed meeting this week? What from last week outshines the specter of another government shutdown? Who's ready for another government shutdown? I'm not saying it to be funny. I'm being very real about this. Who's ready for it? And I have a funny feeling that we're going to start to hear more and more about how banks are ill prepared for all the debt that they have on their books. How many people are underwater with their credit cards? How many, defaulting on your credit cards, defaulting on their mortgages, and not just retail. There's commercial debt too. When the AI bubble bursts, it won't be the only bubble, people. It will not be the only bubble. Sad to say, but dead serious. Not the only one. So I'm kind of like, what's up? Looks like it's telling me that nobody's watching on YouTube right now. That's impossible. I mean, it's possible, but seriously? There you go. It's supposed to be live. I'm turning on the live to see if it actually does anything. Oh, YouTube is whatever. Do you think the government has a machine? Yes, I stopped mid-sentence because I know that I'm going to wind up sending you to the corner again with this question. Do you think that the government has a machine that can control the weather? One of my friends thinks the government is behind this cold rush. It's not. Although you can seed the sky to make it rain, they do not have a weather machine. Like, that's just insane. That's just nuts. What you're dealing with is global warming, and people are like, it's cold outside and this is snow. No. What happens in global warming? And it's sort of like people just, chose not to pay attention in science class. Global warming is going to cause the Arctics to melt, which creates what? More water, which creates what? A change in global weather patterns. Just saying. Just saying. Thank you for that, Trader Joe. I keep saying Trader Joe, but it's not. It's Trader EJG. I'm just going to call you Trader because that's just too much to go through that name. Like Max, it's just Max or Max Salas. I shorten names. 8paws are just 8paws. I'm not saying all that. I'm not. It's too long. It's tongue twisters. Can't deal with it. I'm too old for that nonsense. Tongue twisters at this age. So yeah, this week's going to be very interesting as we look at the FOMC meeting, the FOMC, I guess, decisions. Yeah, I keep forgetting that. I keep forgetting that your real name is Maverick. Ugh, such a copycat. Such a copycat. Anywho, this week is going to be a major decision week. And I'm looking at the markets going down this week. Like, you look at the markets now, they are down a little bit. 86,000, 86.5 for Bitcoin, 28.14 for Ethereum. BNB's down at 862, although that's actually pretty good. They're literally almost at zero change, almost at unchanged. XRP is below $2. Solana's at 118. Didn't I call that last week? Didn't I say? I know I said that. I said 117. I said that. And a couple of people were like, and yet here we are. Here we are. Not such good numbers. These are not pretty numbers. Cardano's at 33. Dogecoin is at 11. Like, there are very few coins right now that are still green for year to date. Monero is one of them. Let's see who else is by a hair. Cardano, by a hair. Dogecoin. And we're talking year to date. All of them are down from all-time highs. All of them. Who else? Tether Gold, XAUT, up 16.85%. Pax Gold, up 17.64%. They're neck and neck in terms of market cap. Pepe is up 17% year to date. What? Pepe. Let's see who else is up. Polygon is up 17.39% year to date. Cosmos is up 15.98% year to date. Render, this is jaw dropping. Render is up 35.54% year to date. Just saying. This is insane. Bonk is up. Bonk, another meme coin, up 12.37% year to date. Anybody else I'm paying attention to that matters in this world? Stacks is up 15.12%. Virtuals Protocol 18.45%. All of these numbers year to date. Who are also big winners? Axie Infinity is up 135% year to date. Axie Infinity. Pith Network is at zero. They're flatlining right now. Dog with Hat up 17.82% year to date. You can't tell me that's not crazy. These are some crazy numbers. Decentraland up 16.37% year to date. Radium up 6.3% year to date. Let's see, anybody else? A Star, not Aster. A Star, ASTAR, up 9.35% year to date. I think that's the Toyota. That's the one that's got to deal with Toyota. They are also thinking the polar ice melts are contributing to an increase in earthquakes and volcano eruptions. I'm not sure how you tie that back into buying crypto coins. The weather into crypto coins? Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I can agree to that. Nuts, right? Absolutely nuts. Again, this week we have FOMC meeting. We have FOMC interest rate decision. We have the hit that's going to come from the U.S. budget, if it's going to be funded or not. And a big argument is going to be over the funding of ICE, period. I don't care what anybody says. That's going to be the sticking point. Nobody wants that albatross around their neck. If you vote for that, you're basically saying, if you vote for that and your term is up in November, you're basically, I'm willing to bet you're going to see a lot of people also retire. But I think this is going to be a make or break for this regime. I think you're going to wind up seeing a lot of people break away from this regime, which means that there are going to be a lot of things that are going to be looked at or revisited again. Something to think about. I trust Bitcoin more than I do banks. For real, for real. They complain when you take out large amounts of cash. They want to know why. Have you noticed that? Oh, why do you need this cash? What are you using it for? None of your goddamn business. That's what I'm using it for. That's what I'm using it for. Mind your beeswax. That's what I'm using it for. And that's one person. Imagine if you had 100 people walk into a bank and say, I want $10,000, please. I want to remove 10% of what I'm holding in your bank. 10%. Doesn't matter the amount. I just want to remove 10%. Imagine if everybody walked into a bank branch and said, please give me 10% of what I currently have in this bank. The banks would freaking just go berserk. Just insane. That would actually make them say this is a run on the bank. Nuts, right? They would actually start thinking it's a run on the bank. If everybody just walked in and said, I want 10%. And everybody took that 10% and put it into like crypto. Not a lot of money, not a lot of their money. Maybe I only have $100 in the bank and I go out and I pull $10. They're not going to ask me anything. And then the next person comes, the next person comes, the next person comes, the next person comes. $10, $100, $1,000, $10,000, 10%. 10%. If everybody just took 10% out of the bank and put it into crypto, imagine what kind of massive wealth we would build. Imagine what kind of change would happen to financial institutions. They might actually start acting right. But that won't happen. Yeah. A bank run, even at 5%, you're absolutely right. Even at 5%, instant bank run, they would lose their minds. Because they don't necessarily, telling you, they don't have the cash that they say they have to cover everything. They only need to have a certain percentage of the cash. That's what enables them to actually go use that cash to go make money. I'm fine with that. But when there's a bank run and you don't have the money there and they have to go get liquid, it causes a problem for them. Panda? I never heard of Panda. Do you mean Pengu Panda? P-E-N-G? Yeah, that's what you meant. Could be the next Pepe. Stop it. You're hurting my feelings. You're going to hurt my head. There are meme coins out there that I think can make money. I think the meme coins, Pengu Penguin is a meme coin that I think slid in just in time to be a preferred meme. Slid in just in time. But I kid you not, I think that you're going to see a lot of people like me start to go, well, what's the usage of that coin? What's the usage of that token? And we're going to see a lot more people become usage conscious. Mark my words. People are going to stop buying these insane extras and these insane chances. They're going to start becoming usage conscious. You'll see. You shall see. Maverick, I have a hard time calling you Maverick because I'm Maverick, man. I'm Maverick. It's a calculation. It's a massive calculation. And you look at it as Basel. Basel has them calculating a whole bunch of numbers to figure out how much money they need to have cash on hand, and it's on a rolling basis because numbers fluctuate and all that good stuff. So it's a numbers thing. It's not a flat 3%, 5%. No. It's a massive, massive calculation that happens on a daily basis. I know because I worked on that team for one of the big banks. It's no joke. Anyway, everybody, this is Eddie J on Crypto for GrowMyBag.tv. I hope you like what I'm doing. If you do me a favor, smash the likes. No, I'm not going to show you today. The class for the master class that I've put together for small businesses and people that want to buy and sell small businesses is coming together so well. I'm just putting polish on everything right now. The whole calculator thing is freaking amazing. Basically, here are the numbers that you need to gather, punch those numbers in, and it'll give you everything else that you need to see about a given deal. It gives you grades and everything else, a glossary so you understand what these terms mean, where they come from. It gives you about 25 questions that you need to ask that you score, right? So here are the 25 things that you need to score, and based on that score, it can tell you everything else about that business. Gives you all kinds of sheets that say, okay, this is the information that you need to gather. And you can actually do a drop down on, got it, it's good or not, or what, or whatever. And it'll tell you what that, because I call it a red flag list. It'll tell you what the red flags are about that business. So it's going to help you as the seller to understand what kind of package you need to put together, point out what you need to clean up. And as a buyer, it will help you identify what's a good business to put your hands on and what's a good business not. And there are other things that you need to think about, like, do you have experience in the business and things like that. But you're talking about probably the world's largest wealth transfer, besides the one where the haves are stealing from the have-nots. Forget about that one. But we're talking about people that own businesses now that don't have anybody to hand their business down to. Kids, nieces, nephews, nothing. And so they're looking to sell. They're looking, and even for the people that do, they're still looking for that sale. They're looking for that last chunk of cash that they can get out of their business. And that is a sale. And so that class will be on February 21st. I believe 11 a.m. is the time that I set for it. And we will start advertising for that class. We should probably start this week. But the actual syllabus, the actual information for the class, already developed. Already there. All the tools to help you figure out those decisions. So we'll be walking through the tools, walking through what's out there for you to be looking for in terms of when you identify a business. And you can go, oh, I like this business. Here are the numbers that I need to punch in. And is that a good business? Yes or no by the numbers. The same way that you can do that with real estate, you can do that with looking at a business to buy. It'll be a 3-hour class. It'll be intensive. And we're going to go from talking about it to being about it. You're going to be able to say, oh, I have a business that I have in mind. Here's the asking price. Here's this. And you're going to start using the tools, and you're going to be able to sit there and go, is that a good business for me to put my hands on? You'll sit there and you'll be like, well, these are the documents that they've given to me thus far, and I've been waiting a long time for this. That's a red flag. If you have to wait too long to gather information. So there are a lot of things that you're going to learn about buying and selling businesses. Because not all business gurus, or not gurus, but the business brokers, not all of them know about all this stuff. They know high level sometimes, but as you get deeper and deeper and deeper into what's going on, less and less know about what needs to actually happen and what it takes. And remember, most business brokers are sitting on the side of the person selling the business because that's who's going to get the money to pay them. So it's almost like real estate, right? It's almost like real estate. Except I want you to be educated. So even if you use a business broker, you are very educated about what's going on. Just saying. So if you like what I'm doing, do me a favor, smash the likes, tell your friends about this community, because all we care about is your knowledge and education. Your first investment is in yourself, and you must invest in order to survive. Dead serious. Do your own research, know your entries and exits, and absolutely invest deliberately. I'm not asking you. I'm begging you. Anyway, everybody, thank you for your time. Thank you for your patience. And as always, thank you for your trust. Me and my team will fight for that every single day. Go check out some of the articles on the site. We've got a lot going on there. Isn't the requirement? Oh, yeah, no, I've already read that one. All right, everybody, thank you so much. See you tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. for The Daily. Have a good one. Bye-bye.